Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host Alexander Turbin. This week we're going to be doing a Maine made comic called Rockin Rollin Miner Ants. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own artwork. This is Random Access, and the cover is by Adam Yeater, and it's number 17, and it's a 12-page, full-size, full-color comic that I produce for my patrons. It's only $3 a month, and you get a 12-page comic book, and you also get a sticker, all made by me. You can also go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, and check out my all of my comics that I've made, including Random Access, Mutandis, Forlorn, and all of my characters that I've put into a different comic or whatever. Or you can just contact me on Instagram, AlexTurbin04401 at Instagram. So now we got that out of the way, and here's some more stuff. Let's check out Rockin Rollin Miner Ants. First thing I want to notice, or I want to point out, is how bad this title is. Why would you put dark green and then black? Like, this should have, the lines going through it would have been okay if it had been like maybe a light blue or a light gray or something. It's just, you really can't even tell what the title says. The layout and design of the book, well, it just looks a little well, I'll let you guys figure out how you how you feel about the layout of the cover of this comic. It's a little funny. So this is it's, like I said, Craig Caford and Libby's Rockin Rollin Miner Ants, and it was produced in Maine in 1994. This is issue number 5, so this has gone to 5 issues, which is really, this is definitely a power comic. And for it to have gone 5 issues, I am truly astounded, and it's pretty cool. They've got their wives in on the action, which is pretty cool. I kind of wish they'd done something with this negative space here. This and the back cover where it just says Fate Comics, and the inside back cover is a message to all of the fans and stuff. But the back cover and here, that's really, when you waste that amount of space, you could have put any kind of illustration that you've done previously, or anybody's illustration or anything. You could have done anything in those places, and it's just wasted space, and it's too bad. So you've got the first page is just like the cover, which that's fine, except it's this dude, and he's bending over in, it's the same pose, which, that's fine. It is what it is. We're going to go through the story, and then we'll go through what I think of the writing and the art. So it's the last dissection. And really, it's basically this teacher showing these kids how to dissect a frog in their classroom. And it's really just saying that frogs are being taken, and they're being dissected, and they're going to be extinct pretty soon. And so basically it's the poor frogs, but they've got a hero. It's the bog frog. He comes out of the bog, and he turns ginormous. He's some sort of kaiju. And I kind of wish they had leaned a little bit more into the kaiju section. But he goes into rampage and start smashing buildings and stuff. But here's the Rockin Rollin Miner Ants in their little ant buggy, which is kind of cool. And it has them, and it has their dad, and they're all discussing their previous life and how they came to be, and how he adopted them. But lo and behold, the bog frog flies in the air and smashes into their Antmobile, and they crash into the countryside. So they make sure they're all okay, especially Pops. But Pops runs away because he doesn't want to mess with the bog frog. And the bog frog just kind of attacks the ants, which is what kaijus do. But some of them have been thrown around out of the aircraft, I guess, and they landed in a tree. and so they had to come back together. But Pops went into the swamp, and the bog frog found him, and he was going to kill him. Um, but before he can do that, one of the Rockin Rollin Miner ants comes and saves the day. Did I mention they all have rollerblades on their feet, which is something? So this is obviously a little bit of a ripoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that's fine. A lot of people have done that, but it's particularly okay because it's from Maine, and that's where the turtle started. So apparently, Mainers like anthropomorphic characters. So anyway, the bog frog fights the ants, and they run away or whatever. But Pops ran away, or no, Pops was grabbed by the bog frog and taken into the swamp, and then the bog frog was going to eat him. But before we do that, we have a double page spread, which is not aligned, and it's basically Pops trying to talk some sense into the bog frog, and so they have all this dialogue where Pops is trying to befriend the bog frog, and they can talk. It does say why they can talk. There's a connection that they have. But apparently them talking puts the bog frog to sleep. And the Rockin Rollin Miner ants finally come upon them again. And one of them, I don't know, this is some sort of airboat. Crash rides the water like an airboat. I don't know. Is that a wheelchair? Might be a wheelchair. I do have another issue. I think I have 3, but there's a special surprise at the end of this one. So they go and they're gonna fight the bog frog, and the bog frog uses its tail. I mean its tongue, and because frogs don't have tails, I don't think. So anyway, they're fighting, and the bog frog is going to kill them and stuff, but no, the ants are going to kill the bog frog because they built some sort of thing here, some sort of spikes and stuff that the bog frog is going to land on them. But no, Pop says, no, don't do it. Put the pipes away, the spears. Put the spears away. And the bog frog hits the ground instead of the spears. So you go to the side panel, and the bog frog decides that since they spared his life by pulling away the spears, that he was going to not attack humanity anymore. And yeah, so that's how they solved this issue against the bog frog. It was a peaceful resolution. There was a little bit of fighting, but not much. It was basically peaceful. So this is my second published art. The first one was obviously that Stormbreaker, which I was still kind of ashamed of. But here I sent in a picture of one of the Rockin Rollin Miner ants. So here's the Rockin Rollin Miner ant that I chose, and I gave him a crossbow. And I must think crossbows are really cool. But I guess there were some other people. So this is my real first. No, Mutandis was before this, I guess. 94. I think Mutandis was before this. So this is after Mutandis. And so there's some other things. And here's some Pog pictures. I don't know why they didn't take some of these pictures and put them in the back or in the front inside cover. That would have been cool. And another picture by the artist. And I think this is a dedication to his son. So Crash has a wheelchair. They all have rollerblades. And one of them is a woman, and one of them can blow stuff up. So this is Rockin Rollin Miner ants from 19, and here's Brain Scan from Wiz. I don't know who drew that. And so here's a little letter from the back page. So Rockin Rollin Miner ants, that's what it is. So my thoughts. The writing is probably the weakest part of this book. It is very I don't know how you would say it. It's very pronounced in its writing. Like it states what is happening. Like I'll read you some. Frogs are the desperate. Frogs are in desperate need of being left alone. In fact, schools are in such demand for these small creatures that some people, namely frog poachers, are making a lucrative living from harvesting them. So it's very matter of fact dialogue. And it's really, there's not a whole lot of dialogue in the whole thing, not a lot of writing in the whole thing, which is probably for the best. I'm not going to bash it because, as I've said before, doing comic books is hard, writing comic books is hard, drawing comic books is hard. So everything is very matter of fact. There's no real emotion to any of the writing. It's just simply and plainly states facts, and it doesn't try to initiate any kind of response from the reader other than it is what it is. None of the characters have any kind of original voice. They're not except for maybe Pops. Pops is very grandfatherly, I guess, and obviously he's supposed to be Splinter, a Splinter ripoff. But other than that, I mean the buildings. We're going to talk about the art later. So, like I said, the plot is very simple. There's not many panels per page. I think the biggest thing that they wanted to get across is the fact that even though the bog frog is attacking them and they go into a big fight, they resolve it peacefully instead of a final confrontation with the bog frog. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of like Doctor Who, where he was supposed to never use violence to resolve any of his conflicts. So really, the story is very sparse. It goes from the bog frog attacking there's an introduction by the ants. The bog frog attacks the ants. They get split up. The bog frog meets Pops, and the Pops, they find the bog frog, and they resolve it. So it's really not too much going on as far as depth of story, but a simple story, that's fine. Really the biggest problem I have with the writing, other than the fact that none of the characters have any kind of depth or personality, is the fact that he just states things like retrieval has been achieved. I'm sorry. Retrieval has been achieved. I mean, there's so many other ways you could write the facts. The bog frog hits the ground with a mighty thump. It's just basically telling you what's happening in a very bland kind of way. But as far as the art is actually pretty good. I really like I don't like the green. Let's get that out of the way. I don't like the green ink. I do understand why they're doing it. It's a frog, but it muddies everything in the process, and it's just if this was black and white, I would have enjoyed this much better. I love his very bold outlines. He's got some strong use of blacks. He's got nice light sources for the most part. His figures really fill up the pages. There's not a lot of panels. I kind of wish there were more panels, but if there were more panels, then there'd have to be more story, and there just simply isn't. I really like the character of the bog frog. I like these teeth and the tongue and stuff, and his hands. He can draw very mundane things and make it kind of interesting. This is really nice background of the bog and the tree and the water and everything. Here's some nice boots and stuff. So really, and I really like these buildings. This is exactly how I draw buildings in a 1-point perspective, looking up, because anybody that does comics, and if they draw a building just fronting forward, and there's no kind of depth or anything, it's just a giant fail. So I'm really digging the art in this guy's work, and the artist is Mike Libby, and the story is by Ben Caford. So Yeah, Mike Libby, he does a pretty good job. He uses a lot of good perspective. He has a lot of different camera angles. He uses a lot of different um, points. He's got this figure, and he's got this legs, and he's got the feet, and it's jumping. So you really can tell exactly what's going on. And at no point did I have to reread anything. Didn't have to go back a panel or forward a panel. Um, People is kind of his weakest point, I think. They look a little goofy, but this is a goofy comic. I mean, I've been I've seen worse, like my ride with the crash in comic book number 4. So he breaks the fourth wall, and that's kind of what it is. So it's a humorous comic. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. I just wish a little bit of more care had been taken into the plot, I guess. Um, Here's some nice tree. Here's a nice tree. He's nice perspective. He doesn't keep using the same camera angle, camera shot, which is really good. I might look him up and see if he's done anything other than this, because it's really kind of cool. He does a good job for what this is. Nice foreground, and midground, and background. He's got some nice design elements and some nice layout elements in this book. It really is too bad that the story is so lacking and that it's in green. I wonder if there's a black and white version of number 5. I would buy it because I'm in it. So yeah, it pretty much, it is what it is. It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ripoff. But it's got some good elements to it. It's got some nice line work, nice big bold line work. I'm pretty sure he's using a brush, which is really, really cool for an indie Power Comics creator. And his people aren't so bad. His faces aren't so bad. And he's really great with the foreshortening. I love the tongue on the frog bog. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Maybe the weakest part is the characters. I really kind of don't like the actual ants, and I kind of wish there were more in the book and had a little bit more personality between them. I mean, that's one of the great things of the Turtles, is that you know who Leonardo, Raphael, and Michelangelo all are. You don't have to just kind of guess. Even when it was black and white, and they didn't have different colored bandanas, you could tell who was who, other than their weapons. The ants, you really can't tell who was who, because there's so many close-ups. There's not enough establishing shots of the characters, which is probably what I would have done in the very beginning. I probably would have had some sort of establishing shot of the actual ants. But in the end section with my art is pretty cool, because I kind of like that drawing. I might try to draw one of the ants again, maybe. No, I'm not going. So anyway, Rockin Rollin Miner Ants by Caford and Libby, the Green Collector's Edition, number 5, and it has a picture of my own in it, so that's pretty cool. That's mainly why I have the book, and you can decide what you make of this whole thing for yourself. Let me know in the comment section if anybody has any of these comics or anything, and what you think of this cover and what you think of the logo. Just tell me what you think of the book, please. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and also really hitting the like button. That would really help me out a lot. And I'm going to give this a rating of a 5. The art carries it, but the plot and the story and the writing is just so weak that it can't go beyond that. So I'm going to give it a 5, even though my own art is in it, which really hurts my soul. But let me know if you guys like this kind of content, and I will see you guys later, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.